Streaming live on YouTube now.
Okay, we're live on YouTube, and
Streaming live on YouTube now.
yeah, I see the. All right, hang on a minute. Let me just share it out to. Okay, we're live on YouTube, and I love it. Wait a minute, let me turn the sound off because you're hearing double sound here. Okay, there we go. Post to Facebook, yes. Okay, welcome everybody to Torah for the Nations, live from Sfat, Israel. This is Pesach Sherbo speaking, and I'm here with my co-host, Terry Hayes, and Eve is in the room with us tonight, and this is the 17th of January, 2021, and we're all in Coronaville. We thank you for being with us. Everybody's in lockdown, is I guess the way it works right now. It's weird, and it's tough to deal with. And you know what? It's just something we got to do. And it's amazing that we're in the Parashah, weekly Torah portion of dealing with Exodus, or coming up to the Exodus. And we all got an Exodus. Hello, Scotty. Good to see you. And I guess I ought to put my face up there too. I always forget about that. There we go. All right. So I hope we're getting shared around right now. And there's Scruffy. Scruffy Scrubs. That's Devorah. Good to see you, Devorah. And, we all have our personal exoduses to come out of. And we all have our personal exoduses we have to deal with. And it's tough. It's really tough. There's Sally. Good to see you. Good to see you, Sally. And thank you for your help. We appreciate it very much. What am I talking about in Exodus? Why, Exodus was 3,000 years ago. What do we got Exodus today? Exodus coming out of Mitzrayim, and we talk about this at Passover time a lot, but Mitzrayim, the name means a throttling place or a choking point or a divider, and it's our neck in our bodies is that. But we all have problems coming out of, we run into problems in our lives that we have to make it through. We have to get to the other side. We have to be strong enough to realize, even though it looks very dark and we have this wall in front of us, and you guys will remember what I'm about to say from all of your religious teachings, God doesn't give us anything we can't handle. He doesn't set us up for frustration. He doesn't set us up for failure. We can set ourselves up for failure, but God doesn't set us up for failure. And when we decide to do something and we continue and push through to do it, then we are successful, even if sometimes it just tears your heart out. Even if sometimes it just makes you feel so upside down that you just want to crawl under a blanket and cover your head and say, goodbye, world. See you later. And this is happening to a lot of people in the Corona times now. This is a tough time to go through. People are sick and tired of being home. They're sick and tired of not being able to go out to a restaurant and just sit and have coffee with friends and Everybody has to go around like a masked bandit in the banks and in the supermarkets and everything else. When, I was in a meeting with someone today, and I said to them, these two people, I said this months ago to them, because they really were complaining about the masks. And I said, look, there's two ways to look at everything. You can look at it like this is some kind of conspiracy. This is some way to control me. This is some way, whatever. Or you can look at it from the other side. If I wear that mask, maybe somebody won't get corona from me. Maybe. So I'm doing a kindness for people. See, there's two ways to look at this whole situation. The same thing about the vaccination, with all the conspiracy theories and all the stuff going around about the vaccination. There's two ways to look at it. I'm not going to get it. They're trying to this to me. They're trying to do that to me. They're trying to do the other thing to me. Or you can look at it that if I get it, the corona will be less, and then I probably won't pass it on to somebody else. And just a little side of thing here, the virus, the vaccines that they're doing today are not antibody type vaccines. In other words, they're not something that can't adapt to what's coming into your body. It's there to help your body generate what it needs. With measles and things like that, when you get it puts this antibody or something in your body that there's a special name for it, and I just can't remember it right now. But this particular vaccine that everybody's so worried about, they're using DNA. They're not using DNA. They're using something called mRNA, and look it up on the internet. They'll tell you what it is. In anything that happens, I don't care what it is, if it's in your personal life, in relationships, or it's in our bodies, the solution to the problem is already there. We just have to hunt for it. But if we get so focused on the why me, God, if we get so focused on the you're not going to control me thing, if you start getting your ego in the way, and the ego is a Mitzrayim. The ego is a barrier that you have to get through. Because if you relate everything to your ego, you'll never go anywhere. It just won't work. Because it stops you every time. It's a wall. It's like standing in front of the Red Sea. When what happened at the Red Sea, everybody's waiting for it to split. Everybody's waiting for the Red Sea to split. And it wasn't doing anything. And then a guy, if I remember right, his name was Nachshon. He had to trust in God to walk down and get into the Red Sea and walk in all the way up to his nose. And all of a sudden, the sea just split. And everybody got through safely. Now, notice I said trust, not faith. Because there's a huge difference between trust and faith. And we've talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again. When you trust God, that everything is happening for the good, when you walk into that water and it gets up to your nose and you start feeling like you're going to breathe it in any second, and all of a sudden the clearing happens, you start walking out of it, the pathway opens up. You've put your trust in God to walk you through that time period, to walk you through what you need. And it's something that people need to apply to their lives in every single part of their life. You have to have emunah, you have to have faith, and you also have to have the faith that God's going to take care of what he says he's going to have, and then you have to trust him to do it. They're two different things. You know, growing up, we all had faith in our parents or in dads, moms, that they would do something or could do something to help us out. But not all the time did we have the trust in them that they were actually going to do it. And some of us have been disappointed in our parents in that manner. But you don't have to be disappointed in God. God is going to get you through to the other side. I don't care what you're going through in your life. It doesn't make any difference. Let me tell you a quick story. I don't know all the details, only partial details. But there was a woman that was all set to go through some cancer surgery. She thought that she was done with the cancer. It came back. She had to go ahead to have some more surgery. And she was all scheduled to go have the surgery. And the day that she was supposed to have surgery, what happened was she couldn't go have the surgery because of COVID. I don't remember if she was positive to it or the hospital couldn't do it or something like that. I don't remember exactly the story, but the outcome of the story is very interesting because that surgery was canceled and she decided to go talk to another surgeon about the whole thing. She's ended up with a better surgeon, a little bit different outlook on what's going on. And she's evidently was not supposed to have surgery by that surgeon. So she's changed surgeons and she's going through with her surgery and everything. And we'll pray for her that everything will come out okay. But it's important that we do that. When you have trust in God, it makes your life better. It makes you stronger. It doesn't make you so much that you have to worry about as much why me, God, and put your emphasis on what did I do wrong, God? Why me? What have I done? What are you punishing me for? I mean, these questions go through people's heads. Everybody. It goes through everybody's heads. Must have done something really terrible for that to happen to me. Well, as you go through this, if you trust God that this is something that is almost what we would call divine providence for you or for me or for anybody, and we get to the other side of it and look back and say, wow, I guess that was supposed to happen that way. Now, things can happen that are not in your control at all, period, and you still have to make it through. It could be that someone's causing whatever's happening in your life to happen. A boss, a spouse, a kid, a good friend. And one way or another, that situation is going to come to an end. And you just have to have the power, the strength, and the will to go through the wall you need to walk through. It takes nerves of steel. You got to be like Superman in some cases, so you don't end up flat on your back. That's the only way I can put it. And this is what the belief in the God of Israel and in the trusting in the God of Israel does for you. It's a connection. You don't have to be Jewish to have that connection. Anybody can have that connection. But the important part about this connection, there's something very important here, that you learn about it and you understand as much as you can before you try to change something. Interesting conversation I had with somebody this week about the Amidah, the prayer section of the prayer book, the Shemona Esrei or 18 or however you want to call it, that is in the Brit Shalom, and it's also in the regular Hebrew prayers. And the guy asked me, can I do it bowing down if I want, the whole prayer? Or can I do it this way? Or can I do it that way? Or can I change the name? And of course, I answer, I'm not a posek. He wants to get a posek or actually a definition through halakha of these things. He can do it. But what I said to him was, and I didn't realize it till I said it, actually. Sometimes you don't think things until they just come out of your mouth. Did you? I told him, I said, look, why are you looking to change something before you even know what it is? Why don't you just learn it, learn why it is, how it's supposed to be done, and then consider if it needs a change or not? Because it probably doesn't, because you think so. This has been the problem all throughout the history of mankind. When they were trying to make airplanes, if you go back and look at the history of the models that were made, some of them had these rotor things that bounced up and down, trying to go up like this, like wings. Others had wings that flapped. Others, once the Wright brothers did a plane on a bicycle, then people tried to do it with one wing and all kinds of things. That until you can understand something, you can't. What's the point of changing something if you don't understand it and why it works that way? Everything has laws, the laws of aerodynamics, the laws of astrophysics. And just because you want to change something doesn't mean that what you think is a good change to make. And when it comes to working with the God of Israel, this is what's called creating something new. Change a name, do it a different way. When you create something because this is the way you want it to be, and you change something, even if you change something, I don't know, about your shalom bayit, peace in the house. Even if you decide that you think that there's something better than what you're doing, and you go out and try to change it, you're making an idol out of something. You're creating something different. God gives us specific ways that we're supposed to interrelate with one another, man and wife, parents and children, and they're ranked in order of importance. What was the very first commandment? You can call it a commandment. Was given to human beings was to get married. Leave your parents, get married. In Hebrew, lidavek. In English, it sounds weird, but to glue yourselves to one another. Become one soul. Become one. Many times we see that people do that for a while, and then maybe the children become more important or something else becomes more important. I don't know. But one of the things when you read the morning prayers also is shalom bayit, peace in the house. You're not even supposed to go into Shabbat if you don't have shalom bayit, peace in the house. It's an important thing. But what are the obstacles? They are Mitzrayim. They are dividing places. They're places you have to get through, and you have to understand that you need to get through whatever this thinking is, get through whatever's affecting you, get through it to the other side, and not let it stop you like you've run up into a brick wall. Throughout my life, I've run into brick walls. And every once in a while, I actually got my forehead bloody, banging my head against a brick wall. And sometimes they come up because God doesn't want you going off in that weird direction, even though you want it real bad. This is just something you know is right, man. I don't care what anybody else says. I know it's right. I don't care what God says. You don't say that, but you're not even thinking of him. And you start butting your head into the wall and butting your head until one day you reach up and you bring your hand down, it's full of blood, figuratively speaking. What is that blood? Anxiety, fear, anger. And it tears you up. It doesn't do good for you. and it makes your life kind of miserable. So sometimes there's a brick wall you hit that you got to turn left or right because God doesn't want you to go through it. But if you've got divine providence from him, which you should have, and he's guiding you, that may happen. But then you have to recognize it. So where are we? We hit a bad spot, and we have to recognize, what is this bad spot I hit? And 99% of the time, there's the other side. It may look like brick, but it's fake. You can get through it. You can push it aside. You can break through to the other side. Sometimes you have occurrences in life that happen. I don't want to make a joke out of this, but when your sewer line breaks in the basement and you think you got it all fixed, and you sniff the house a few days later, and whoops, it still smells like the sewer line's broken or something. And you just work hard and hard and hard to clean it out. I know at least 3 people that something like this has happened to in the last 60 to 90 days. And one lady that it happened to, who's one of my home groups, it's taken her almost 6 months to get the smell and everything out of what happened in her basement. So it's just, and you know what? When you have something like that and you think you got it cleaned up, and then there's the smell of it is still there and it's not completely gone yet, you haven't fully conquered that Mitzrayim, that thing's holding you back. And the smell can be of anything. It can be from previous teachings that you haven't given up on yet. It can previous ways of thinking that you haven't given up on yet. So it's important, so important that we remember that. We can pull it out of our pocket. We can put a flashcard in front of our eyes. Trust God, everything's okay, everything's good. And go forward and not be swamped. It's an important thing. And we have to train ourselves to do it. And sometimes we allow ourselves to go down these fake paths, which sound not fake at all and sound really great and really good, until we reach a stumbling point and then say, whoops, made a wrong turn. It happens in relationships. It happens at work. It happens with your kids. It happens anywhere you want to look in your life. And the world, everybody on this planet right now, except somebody that has no idea what's going on, is in a very, very serious situation. Imagine back in Noah's time, it started raining and people are joking and laughing and having their parties and just ignoring the rain. And we know what happened 40 days later, right? And then a year later, it all cleared up. Now, think of the COVID as a flood. And it's covering the earth very quickly. Not everybody drowns in this flood. Fortunately, most people end up being able to make it through it. But the time that it's here and it's annoying us and it's troubling us and it's got us at each other's throats, dividing mankind, if we looked at it a different way, maybe we wouldn't feel that particular feeling about it, that depression, that fear about it. What I mean is, what if we said, all of us thought a minute and said, what, COVID? How can it be good? Wait a minute. Let's make a list of good things that came out of COVID. Most people can't think of any. But right away, I know one thing. It's people that when you have a united enemy or an enemy that comes against you, people become united. It happened in America, in the American Revolution. It happens in Israel all the time. I mean, look, we squabble and we're family and we have fights and I'm not talking to you for a while and all this kind of stuff. But let somebody come against Israel, what happens? We all come together and we work together. The world is starting to do that today, to work together to bring about the end of this mabul, this flood that's happening around the world. And families are becoming closer for the most part, not all. We hear about the negative stuff. We don't hear about the good stuff enough. Husband and wives are getting closer. Parents and children are getting closer. People are getting to know their neighbors even. You know, people are just becoming closer together in many, many instances, and the world governments are bringing people closer and closer together. And instead of people trying to figure out how to get, well, there are a few people still trying to figure out how to get more weapons or countries or things like that. But the most of the countries are figuring out how to work on this together, to control it so we can conquer it, work together. And this is what we have to do. And it's important that we work together on this. It really, really is important. Everything is in the perspective, how you look at it. We talk about this so often. And the only way to look at a perspective is through the perspective of the originator's eyes, our creator, Hashem, the God of Israel. We just need to look at everything in the way that he might look at it. Now, we can't look at it exactly the way he looks at it because we're not him. But we have to try, when we read anything, when we read the Torah or we read any of the sages or we read the Gemara, we read the Kabbalah, or whatever we read, whoever wrote that book for us, we're getting into their mind and we're learning how they think, so we're able to see through their eyes a little bit. But the problem is a lot of us get into it and we see it, instead of taking advantage of seeing through their eyes, we want to see it through what we think, instead of learning how they think. Now, there's enough writings out there, there's enough commentaries, and there's enough people that have written on the Torah and all the other books, that there's someone out there that will say it in the words that you can grasp it the best. Some people like this commentator, some people like that commentator. Most everybody reads Rashi for his comments on the Torah. But there's someone that can put it in words that are easier for you to understand, which is good. So the point is, the way you think about it is not necessarily the right way to think about it. What I think about it is not necessarily the right way. I have to figure out, how do I think it so I see it the way it's meant to be presented, how God wanted to be presented. He worked on Israel for 40 years in the desert to get them to see the way he wanted them to see it, and they still fell down and make mistakes. But they were at such a high level there, being tutored by God. But God made us like that. Understand. He gave us free choice. He made us thinking beings, so we can think for ourselves. But it's important that we remember that thinking for ourselves is a process or way to think, and you have to learn it. I'm not going to get into it now. We've talked about that enough. Anyway, what I'm trying to help people with is there's a way to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and smile and not say, oh, another COVID day or another day stuck at home or another day can't do this and can't do that. That's a terrible way to go through a day. I don't know. I hate doing that, and I've done it in my life. I try not to do it now. And sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time it works. And that's what I like about the Modeh Ani prayer. Thanking God in the morning when you wake up, reconnecting immediately with him. And then, of course, doing the morning blessings. So if you don't have the prayer book, get one. Go to Chabad. They have the morning blessings there. Of course, they're not worded for the Noahides properly there, but you can still use them. Reconnect with God every day. Get connected with him and remember to trust him. Trust him. You know, every one of us has an automobile. We go out to the car in the morning. We don't even think about it. But we trust the car is going to start every morning. We put the key in, flip the switch, press on the gas, and we get on the way. And some mornings, unfortunately, over years, you end up with, whoops, what's the matter? Click, click, click. Nothing's happening. But with God, you don't have to worry about that. Every day when you reconnect with him, when you hit that key for the reconnection, you're there. You're not going to get, go get the jumper cables. You're not going to get the no power this morning to do anything. He's always there for you personally, for every single individual personally. He created us. He made us who we are and how we are. And it's up to us to do something with that. When you get in a car in the morning, you do something with it. You go to work, you go to the store. Basically, you're doing something good with it. You may go out and take somebody to the hospital, you know, transfer them, take them to physical therapy, whatever it is. It's how you use it. So when you connect with God in the morning and you use it for positive energy, not to stop somebody from doing something, not to make somebody feel bad that day, not to humiliate somebody that day, you're doing what God wants instead of what you want. And that's what we're supposed to do. And that's how we're supposed to get through Corona. Look at it in the positive. Accentuate the positive. There was a song, something like that. Accentuate the positive, something the negative. I forget what it was. But we just have to keep on that track and keep going. Okay, I think I've run out of that gas on that particular thing I want to talk about. It's something that's been going through my mind for the last 2 weeks or so. And just getting through the walls, and sometimes they're pretty tough, and we got to get through them. And so, and by the way, if anybody needs any help or anything, just let me know. I'm sure Terry will help, Scotty will help, Cole will help. Help get you through some of these walls that come up, because basically it's been there, done that type of thing for most of them. Some of them are not. Some of them are pretty tough to get through, and you need help. You can't do it by yourself, and you need someone to help you that will put you in a direction that always keeps you connected to the God of Israel, no other God. Because the other gods are man-made anyway. There's no point in connecting with them. They don't think like the God of Israel thinks. They don't care who people say they think their God is. All right, Terry, you got anything you want to throw in here?
Yeah, I do. Sound a little bit like Ray Stevens there. Yeah, I do. Was interesting this week. I didn't really get a chance to watch it when it first came out on TV. I was busy having kids and raising kids, and I got to watch it quickly on a little bitty tablet years ago. So now I can watch it on my larger TV where I can actually see it a whole lot better. Everybody knows I'm a Trekkie. Of course, it's Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So last night, it's 7 seasons. I started it over. My wife has never seen it. So we've started it from episode 1. And there was a scene in there that kind of, when I saw it, I'm like, that's what we need today. That's what's missing, is what I'm seeing. And you're talking about the lockdown. There's a scene where the captain was off the ship and it went under attack, and a lot of things was happening. Well, it's not the ship, the station. Deep Space Nine's a station, not a ship. And so when he got back on, there was a lot of people hurting and, the damage and all that stuff. And he was walking through and just touching people on the shoulder. And, that everything's going to be okay feeling. And I just kind of hit me for a second. I said, that's what we're missing right now in this lockdown, is the human connection that we can get from one another, that everything's going to be okay. We're not allowed to touch, and we're missing that touch that lets your body feel that everything's going to be okay. Then it kind of hit me when I saw that scene. We need that, he wasn't saying nothing to anybody. He was just walking by and just laying his hand on his shoulder and looking at him and walking on. And it's what they needed in their reassurance of the trouble they were in. And I felt that's what we're missing right now and what we're going through in this pandemic.
You're so right. A couple of weeks ago, on Wednesday evening, I was over at a good friend's house I'd seen in quite a while. He'd been through some problems. He'd been through some surgery. We're friends to the point where every time we see each other, we hug, give each other a kiss on the cheek. And if we hadn't hugged each other in almost a year because of this COVID, and we both said, heck with it, we threw our arms around each other and hugged each other, and boy, it felt good. It gives you something inside. It makes you feel good. This happened to me 2 other times in the last week where people hugged me, and I hugged them back. Guys I'm talking about that are friends, and that you don't realize how hungry we are for that touch until it happens, until we get that hug. It's right on point. That touch from another human being, especially someone that you're friends with or that you're close to, is one of those things that we need, which built into us. We need to have it.
Yeah, and that's kind of telling Scotty a little bit. Of course, we haven't got to see each other in a while in person because of everything that's going on and us being busy moving. Is from day one, when Scotty and I come together, we shake hands. We make a point that we're together in this. We shake hands. We haven't stopped.
That touch is so important. So important. When you don't have that, see, we're herd mentality. We're meant to go around as a group of people together, not live separate from one another. And intimacy and touch and smiles and good feelings, it's all part of what it is to be part of the whole. And when we don't get it, there's something missing. It can make people grumpy. It can make them feel all different ways, but you have to recognize what it is you need. Now, I'm not saying to just go out and run out and start hugging people. But what I am saying is that just once in a while, okay, husband and wife, when they hug, there's something I read something, or Shira told me something one time, when you hug someone, especially a loved one, do it for at least 20 seconds. Why? It releases a hormone in your body. You'll feel it when it happens. You'll feel the relaxation in you. It's like a drug. It's just, well, these quick hugs or half hugs and stuff like that doesn't work. When you hug your wife, when you hug your husband, hug them for 20 seconds, at least. If you haven't seen somebody in a while, even a good friend, a guy friend, guys to guys, If you hug them for 20 minutes. There's, you know, not 20 minutes, 20 seconds. Sorry. Yeah, that was a big mistake. 20 seconds. But you know what? Guys don't like to do that because they thinking somebody's going to think we're not right, you know, but that's not true. That's, if you know who you are and the other guy knows who you are, it doesn't make any difference what anybody else thinks anyway. Hug them. Show them how you feel. Let that emotion come up in you and let it come up in them. And we need it more than ever now. Women do it all the time. Now, some women have gotten to the point where they touch cheeks and a little pat. That's not a real hug. I'm talking about real hugs. This releases something in you that God placed in you. And it's supposed to be triggered after a certain amount of time. And it's supposed to help you calm down, help you whatever. And it's a soothing feeling. And we don't have it, you miss it. You actually miss it.
Wasn't it the relationship with King David and Jonathan? It doesn't say in there that they fell on each other's necks. They embraced.
Yes. Yeah, you know, and this shows you society's way of doing things. When I was reading in depth about Jonathan and King David, I'm thinking, he wasn't a homosexual. David wasn't a homosexual. See how my mind went? Because that's how I was trained to think. It's okay to have strong emotions for someone of the same sex. It's natural, but not to go overboard. You can love another guy, but not to love like between a man and a woman. Two women can love each other, but not love like man and a woman. People mistake things because they really don't know what the truth is, so they mistake things. Well, there's Jonesboro, Arkansas. Good to see you. I still don't know how to pronounce your name. Garza. Mr. Garza. He's on there on YouTube. Good to see you. There's nothing wrong with loving another person, whether they're man or woman. If you're a man, you can love a man. If you're a woman, you can love a woman. But there's a love that's between people, not like man and woman love. And unfortunately, most of us aren't aware that there's such a thing. But it shows up in the Torah. It shows up in the Torah. It shows up in the writings. People can love each other that strong without it being the type of love between love of a man and a woman. That's a very special, holy love that's reserved only for husband and wife, not for anybody else. It's the first talked about in the coming together of a man and a woman. It might not be there in the beginning, but eventually it's there. Because as people live together, they become one. They're like one unit. Of course, sometimes some decide they don't want to be part of the unit anymore. There's nothing you can do about it. You just got to let them go. That's the way it is. And it's unfortunate. I will say one thing now, and I don't know why this came up in my head. So there's somebody out there listening maybe that needs to hear this. Never stay in a toxic relationship. Never stay in an abusive relationship. Don't blame it on yourself. Don't say maybe it's my fault. Get out of it. If anybody's having a problem with those kind of relationships, get a hold of me, man or woman. I'll help you. I've helped many, many people over the years get themselves out of situations like that. We'll do it all privately, but feel free to get a hold of me to work on that. I've fortunately seen quite a few people leave, men and women, leave abusive relationships and start a new life. And I'm very happy that I've been able to do that. And so if I can help anybody, let me know. Anyway, I don't know why that came in my head. Somebody must have just tuned in out there that needed to hear that somewhere. All right. I want to know if Scotty or Cole have anything they want to add to what we've been talking about tonight. If you'd like to, just let me know and you can add to it. Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah, sure. I'd just like to plug a little bit here.
Go ahead.
Our Saturday mornings. We have a Saturday morning prayer and Parsha on the Noahide World Center Zoom room. And we do it every week at 8 o'clock Pacific. That's 11 o'clock Eastern time. And we just we read the prayers, we read the Parsha. We have a rabbi come in, give us the Devar Torah, a little explanation of the weekly Parsha. And it's just a great get together of Noachides praying in unison and praying together and listening to the Word of God together, and then getting Devar Torah from a great rabbi. So I'd like to invite everybody for that. One thing that I learned this week that I wanted to share was with Moshe Rabbeinu and the plagues. I didn't realize that the reason that Hashem made Aaron do those first plagues was out of kindness for Moshe, because Moshe came from the river. So Hashem didn't want him to curse the river. And Moshe hid the Egyptian in the dust, so he didn't want him to curse the dust. He made Aaron do all those things, do the initial plagues, so that Moshe Rabbeinu wouldn't have to. And I'd never heard that before. And that's something that Rabbi Goldberg told us this week. And that's something I'd never even imagined. You never know when the next thing you hear is just going to change everything everything about you. So, it was really nice to hear his Devar Torah this week. It was great to have everybody there this week. And, we do it every week, and I'd love to see more people there. Yeah.
That's 11 a.m. on Saturdays.
11 Eastern, yep.
8 West Coast time, 8 a.m.
Yep.
And it's you do it on Facebook or
no, just Zoom.
Just in Zoom.
I think Dan puts it on Facebook and YouTube. I think he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, you can usually find the links to this on different groups all around, especially in Torah for the Nations and in B'nai Noach Connection with Israel. And the ones that I'm connected with, we do that. It's called Weekly Parshan Prayer.
Yeah, you can also find it at Noahide World Center, Arizona chapter. You'll find links for it. You'll also find links for it at Seattle Noachides.
Great.
On Facebook, yeah.
Good. Very good. Thank you for adding that. And this is guys, this is just another way of building community. Everybody wants to know, where's the community? Why don't we have a community? Why can't I just move somewhere there's a community? Well, the communities have to be built. This is how you build it. Don't forget, when Jacob went down to Egypt, how many people? 70 people. It was a start. It was a start. Everything has to have a start, and people have to be willing to put some work into it and bring people together. And just because, don't get caught in that trap just because, well, I don't think exactly the way this guy thinks. I like to think it a little differently, to go separate yourself. That's not being part of a group. That's being separate. That's denominationalism. Us Jews, and you all know it, we got all different kinds of Jews, and some do this and some do that. We all do Torah, bottom line. But we're still Jews together. We get together. We celebrate the same holidays. We have the same, and we don't say, well, you're this kind of Jew, so I'm not going to associate with you. And you're that kind of Jew, I'm not going to associate with you. I'm talking about Torah keeping Jews now. There are those that don't keep Torah or keep it a little less, and they do have their own things because they don't like to be so strict. And then there are others that do even less mitzvot. But they're still Jews. They're still part of the community. If they come for help, they get help. We don't say, well, you're one of them. Go away from me. I'm not going to help you because you don't think the same way I do. That's not community. That's not community. Boy, in times of disaster, natural disaster especially, if you live in a town, it doesn't make any difference who it is. They're all your townies. They're all the people you're helping. They're the people you want to help rescue and help feed and help make sure they got a roof over their heads. Well, this is the way you're supposed to be as a community. So pick up that light, your little candle, add it to the flame so the flame becomes brighter and brighter. Make a community. This is one way of doing it, praying together once a week. Even though you're not in the same room, I know we need to have physical contact. I know we have to pray together. Right now, there aren't enough Noahides in the world to do that, except in the Philippines, except in some of the places in Russia, where actually whole communities have become Noahides. They were once churchgoers, now they're all Noahides in the same town, in the same community, same village. Same things happening in Russia. In many places and in other places around the world. America is a tough nut. Canada is a tough nut. South America is a tough nut. But there are places where it's happening. Go ahead, Terry.
Well, Scotty and I have been, we're starting to see something's happening here in East Tennessee. There's somebody seeing something in East Tennessee. There's people coming out of the woodwork. Things are happening, aren't they, Scotty? It's slow, but it's really interesting what's happening over here.
Let me tell you, it's not slow compared to how long it's taken to get somebody interested. It's happening pretty quick now. It's not like poof, but when it starts happening one after another, when nothing's happened for 1,000 years, all of a sudden it's moving. And I think that's great. I noticed that Tennesseans are getting more and more involved in the Noahide movement. And I've noticed other people coming from Tennessee and area. And it's just so important, folks, that you guys start building your communities. You got the perfect opportunity now. Most people, the majority of people are at home. Come on now. Do the Zoom, do the Facebook rooms, do the whatever kind of room you want, anywhere on whatever program you want to do it, but get people together. And if somebody invites you to one of them, go to one of them. Just see what's going on. You don't have to agree or disagree. Just go see what's going on. It's community time. It's time to get together. The whole world right now is becoming united more or less behind this flood that's happening, this virus. They're coming together, except for two or three or four rogue nations that are still, man, we're the best and we're going to have more nuclear arms and we're going to attack and the rest of the world's all getting together. Community. Why? Because we're all earthlings. We're all human beings. So we get it all together. And that's what makes community. You got to start somewhere. And let's take advantage of what's going on right now instead of complaining about it. Take advantage of it. Get together. Spend more time in those Zoom rooms. Spend more time communicating. Get more people together. Don't be so exclusionary. I'm not saying you guys that I'm talking to are that. I'm talking to everybody. Be more inclusive of people you bring in. I get friend requests every day. The first thing I do is go look at somebody's page. I want to know who they are before I just friend. I mean, I don't know why so many people friend me, but I look at what they have on their page. Some of them are missionaries. Some of them are Messianics. Some of them are Catholics. I don't say to them, why do you want to be friends with me? I'm hoping that the reason they're doing it is to learn something, to hear some truth. So I don't say, well, you know, and you know, and you know, I will not let you, unless I have one caveat. If I see, when I go to a person's Facebook page that's asked me to be a friend, if I see that all they do is preach to other people about that people should come believe what they believe, I won't friend them. They're not even searchers. They're not even thinkers as far as I'm concerned, but so I won't do it. If that's all they're doing is all these Facebook posts preaching stuff, then I just stay away from them. Anyway, anybody else have anything you want to add? Scotty? Nothing? Okay. Get ready, guys. There's going to be new stuff coming up on Facebook, new stuff coming out on YouTube. A lot of new stuff is going to be coming out for the Noahides. Investigate it, get involved within it. If volunteer to help if you can, do it. Be with God. All right. If there's nothing else to talk about tonight, nobody has anything to say. Noahide or Jewish on Facebook and MeWe. Oh yeah, some people are moving over to MeWe, and I'm actually was thinking about opening up a Torah for the Nations on MeWe. I haven't decided yet. I've been looking at the different stuff there. I've joined a couple of groups on MeWe. I'm on there. If you look for me and you ask to be my friend on MeWe, I can do that. Go ahead, Terry.
Today, Nog started a MeWe Nog, Noahide Online Gathering group over there as well.
Okay, good.
So yeah, several are kind of in both places. Scotty and I both are on both platforms.
Yeah, I went on it too. I don't know if can you stream on. I haven't figured out if you can broadcast on MeWe like we do on YouTube or Facebook. You can't, huh?
Oh no, I don't know. I haven't really explored a lot of it myself.
Yeah, I was going to start exploring it and maybe trying to do it. I haven't gotten into MeWe that much. There's some other things out there, Signal and a bunch of other stuff to move away from what's happened or what's happening in the world today as far as the big techs trying to control people and what they say. Something to add, Terry?
Oh no.
Okay. Saw the mic.
I'm probably I'm trotting. I'm bouncing up and down. My mom and dad used to slap me about, would you quit moving, kid?
No, the mic was open, so I thought you wanted to say something else.
Oh no, I didn't turn it off. Sorry.
Okay. All right, guys. We're going to get out of here. And today, in a few hours, I'm going to be going to get my second dose of the vaccine. And everybody tells me it's a little worse. You have a little worse reaction in the first, but I didn't have any reaction to the first. So I guess if it's a little worse, then I'll be fine. Don't be afraid of the vaccine. That's all I got to say. God bless you guys. Thank you for being with us. And we'll see you on Wednesday night at 8:00 in the Noahide World Center, Brit Olam YouTube room. And remember to subscribe. Hit that little button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. God bless you all. See you later.